Dear friends, this is the lecture number 5 of vector. In the previous lecture, we discussed about polygon law and vector subtraction. In this lecture, we will discuss about equilibrium and components of a vector, rectangular components of a vector. Let's first start from equilibrium. Equilibrium. So, what do you mean by equilibrium? Actually, about this equilibrium, you will read in laws of motion chapter after 2 chapters. But I am telling a little bit about equilibrium here because in vector it is required. What do you mean by equilibrium? When a number of forces act on a body, but net force on the body is equal to 0, then the body is said to be in equilibrium. A number of forces act on the body, but net force on the body is equal to 0, then it is said to be in equilibrium. But actually equilibrium is of different types. You will read it later. But just I am telling you one type of equilibrium here to explain what is from the vector. What is the equilibrium according to the vector? In this chapter, what part of equilibrium we will discuss. How one body will be in equilibrium. Suppose one person is here. You are standing here. Okay. You stretch one of your hand like this, one of your hand like this. What happened? You stretch the hands like this. You say, how? I stretching my hands. You are standing suppose like this. Okay. So one of your friend apply force here. One of your friend now see apply force. Apply force and now drag in this direction with some force. With how much force? Suppose with F1 force. With F1 force. And another friend standing at this side. Okay. So now he is again dragging you. Clear? Here. So see here. Okay. With some force. How much force that is? F2 force. And you are at rest. When you will be at rest, if net force on you is 0, then you will be at rest. Two friends are stretching. One is from this side, one is from this side. But you are at rest. How is it possible? When is it possible? You are at rest means net force on you is equal to 0. But if we do the vector sum of these forces, what is the vector sum? F vector equal to F1 vector plus F2 vector. But net force on you is equal to 0. If you are in equilibrium, if it is 0, then F1 plus F2, but F1 vector is equal to minus of F2 vector. One is negative of other. So if one is negative of other, then can I write F1 magnitude is equal to F2 magnitude? Both forces are of equal magnitude. Otherwise, net force here cannot be 0. So now you understood two forces can cause equilibrium. Two forces can cause equilibrium, but what's the condition? Condition is they have to be equal in magnitude and opposite in direction. They have to be equal in magnitude and opposite in direction. Then the body will be in equilibrium. So if you ask you one question in some books, in some exams also, this comes as a question: what is the minimum number of a vector? Minimum number of equal vectors. Minimum number of equal magnitude vector can cause equilibrium. What is the minimum number of equal magnitude vector can cause equilibrium. Minimum how many vector? Minimum cannot be one, because one force cannot cause equilibrium. If one force will act on me, suppose from this side I will go to this side. If one force will act from this side, I will go to this side. But when two forces, so minimum number of forces is 2. When two forces act on a body, they are equal in magnitude and opposite in direction, they cancel each other. Net force on the body is 0. Then the body is said to be in equilibrium, at rest. So this is about two forces. Two forces can cause equilibrium. Okay. Now let's see if these two forces will be unequal magnitude. If they are unequal magnitude, I have told you. Now, F1 and F2, two are now dragging to my hands. Suppose this side is F1, this side is F1. If F1 is greater, I will go to this side. If F2 will be greater, I will go to this side. Okay. So if they will be unequal magnitude, equilibrium is not possible. Equilibrium is not possible if they are of different magnitude. Only when they are equal magnitude, they cancel each other. If they are different magnitude, equilibrium is not possible. So then what happens? If two forces are of different magnitude, if equilibrium is not possible, can we make the body in equilibrium? Yes. Yes, we can make the body in equilibrium. But if you will add another force, minimum 3 forces of unequal magnitude can cause equilibrium. Minimum 3 forces. Now let's see how minimum 3 forces of unequal magnitude can cause equilibrium. Okay, so I have done one system for you. See, so I have made this from a tea bag. So you see now how two forces are acting here. You see, so these are the two forces. 3 forces are here on this point. Okay, so I hope it is visible to all of you. 3 forces are here acting at this point. This is the point. This is the point. On this point, 3 forces are acting. What are the 3 forces? This is one force F1. This side, one force F1. This is one force F2. Okay. And another force is the force, the weight of the tea bag. The weight of the tea bag which acts in downward direction. What about the motion of this point? What about the motion of this point? You see, 3 forces are acting at this point, but still the point is at rest. How? Why the point is at rest? Means the 3 forces cancel each other. 3 forces cancel each other, so the point is at rest. Okay, so now let's see how this is possible. So this is one force, F1. This is one force, F2. I show you like this. Okay, so if these 2 forces only act on the body, then act on this point, is the equilibrium possible? Not at all. Equilibrium is not possible. We have to draw. Then to which side this point will move? Along the resultant. The point will move along the resultant. How will draw the resultant? Which law will use here? Tell me. Triangular law or parallelogram law? They are acting at a point simultaneously. They are acting at a point simultaneously. At a time they are acting. At a time, not one by one. Which law will use here? Parallelogram law. Okay. So parallelogram law will use here. So as I have told you, we have to make one parallelogram. Clear? We have to construct a parallelogram. It's not looking like parallelogram. Okay. So I have to construct one parallelogram. This is, then this is. Okay. So this is, if this is F1, this vector is F1. This vector is F1. If this is F2, this vector is F2. Which one is the resultant? The diagonal starting from their common point. This one is the resultant. This one is the resultant. If these two forces will act, I am erasing these forces, they will confuse you. If these two forces will act, then the point will move along the resultant. Neither this side nor this side, this point will move along the resultant. But to keep this point in equilibrium, what I have to do? I have to apply another force just opposite to the resultant, that is F3 vector, which will cancel the resultant. Then the point will come to equilibrium. If we apply another force F3 which will cancel the resultant, then the point will come to equilibrium. So this arrangement what I show to you. Now you see, I am just keeping it in the triangle. See here, this is the second. This is F1, this is F2, and F3 is a downward direction, and the point is in equilibrium. So minimum, how many unequal magnitude vectors can cause equilibrium? The answer is 3. If equal, then 2. If unequal, then 3. But those 3 vectors have to be coplanar. Otherwise equilibrium is not possible. They have to be coplanar. What do you mean by coplanar? When all vectors lie in one plane, they are called as coplanar. You just remember one concept I have told you while discussing about the triangular law at end. What concept I have told you? If two vectors are added, the resultant also lie in the same plane. What situation I show you here? What situation I show you? If these are the two vectors F1 and F2, they lie on the whiteboard plane, resultant also lie on the whiteboard plane, and this one F3 which cause equilibrium, which cancel the R vector, that also lie in the same plane because it has to cancel R vector. In addition and the subtraction of vectors, everything happens in one plane. Otherwise it is not possible. R vector lie on this plane. If I apply the F3 vector like this, can it cancel R vector? Can it cancel? No. Remember, I am again adding one word in your sentence. Before I told you, minimum 3 unequal vectors can cause equilibrium. Minimum number of unequal vectors which can cause equilibrium is 3. But now I add another word in there, coplanar. Minimum 3 unequal coplanar vectors can cause equilibrium. The question will come in exam like this. Minimum, how many unequal coplanar vectors can cause equilibrium? Then the answer is 3. If they can cause equilibrium, all have to be coplanar. Otherwise not possible. All have to be coplanar. Okay. So this is about the minimum 3 vectors can cause equilibrium. If they are not coplanar, then equilibrium is not possible. They are already unequal. Suppose these 3 are not coplanar, equilibrium is not possible. Then what can you do? What can you do? Then if these two vectors, this minimum how many unequal non-coplanar vectors can cause equilibrium? How many unequal non-coplanar? They are not in one plane, can cause equilibrium? Then that number we can't able to fix. That number we can't able to fix. Okay. If two vectors will be in this direction, you see one is this, one is this. They cancel each other. If another two, one will be this direction, one vector will be in this direction, another vector will be in this direction, you see. Two vectors, this, they cancel each other. One vector is this, another vector will be opposite to it. Okay. Or I'll tell one vector is here, one vector is here. So that number we can be able to fix minimum how many unequal non-coplanar vectors can cause equilibrium. Okay, so this is about the equilibrium, but in this equilibrium I want to tell you definition of one quantity, that is called equilibriant. What is equilibriant? This F1, F2, this is the resultant. Then the vector or the force which cause equilibrium, the vector or the force which cause equilibrium is called equilibriant. Which one cause equilibrium? Okay, so if F1, F2 resultant is R vector, who cause equilibrium here? Who cancel R vector? F3. So F3 can be treated as equilibriant. So F1, F2 resultant is cancelled by F3. So F3 is treated as equilibriant. So if you see here, if F3 cancel resultant, that must be equal in magnitude with resultant. That must be also in opposite direction of the resultant. Means what is the relation between resultant and equilibriant? If this is called as equilibriant, you see, so equilibriant cancels resultant, so they must be equal in magnitude, they must be in opposite direction. So what is the relation between them, resultant and equilibriant? They are negative of each other. So can I tell resultant is equal to minus equilibriant. Or you can tell the definition of equilibriant: the vector equal in magnitude and opposite in direction to resultant is called as equilibriant. Another thing you see here, another thing I want to show you here. What is this? You see F3 vector, this is. So if this is F2 vector, then this one is F2 vector, right? If this is F3 vector, this is R vector, now you shift this F3 vector in the backward direction. Just this is equal in length, these two are equal magnitude, means equal length, but only the direction will be downward direction. So just I am shifting this one, this is your resultant, I am shifting here F3 vector, just opposite direction. The resultant direction is upward and this vector direction is downward. Okay, so as I show you here, F1, F2, F3, the three vectors cause equilibrium, means the vector sum of F1 vector, F2 vector and F3 vector is equal to 0. So the point is in equilibrium. So now I draw the vector F2, means F2 here, F3 I shift in backward direction. Can you mark this triangle now? A, B, C. What happened? I am drawing that triangle separately. You see, this is your AB, F1 vector, AB. This is your BC. This is your BC, that is F2 vector. This is the BC, F2 vector. Okay. Then this is your what? F3. This arrow is to which side? Arrow is to this side. So F3. Just I take the figure from there to here. ABC. What you mark? What you mark here? The three vectors which cause equilibrium. This is one important concept which will help you to solve questions. Remember, concepts will help you to solve questions. If you understand one concept, you can solve 100 questions. Okay, but if you mug up the answer for one question, you will have the doubt in the second question. So F1, F2, F3 are the three vectors who cause equilibrium, but how they are represented, you see, in a triangle. They are presented tail, head, tail, head, tail, head. What is this called? Same order or opposite order? Same order. So I can now change the statement of a triangular law here. You can also tell the alternate statement of a triangular law. What is the alternate statement? If three vectors are presented by three sides of a triangle taken in same order, then their resultant is 0. Then their resultant is 0. Again I am repeating, listen carefully. If three vectors are presented by three sides of a triangle taken in same order, then their resultant is 0. They cause equilibrium. In exam, question will come like this. In exam, the question will come like this. Three forces act in this direction. What is the resultant of these three forces? Just from the figure you can tell the addition of 3 is equal to 0. Why? Because this touch each other. The addition of 3 is equal to 0 because all are in same order. Similarly, also we can tell alternate statement of polygon law. Also I can tell you the alternate statement of polygon law. What is the alternate statement of polygon law? You see, this one vector, this one vector, one vector, one vector, one vector. A, B, C, D, E vector. Okay. So all are in same order. What is the addition of all these vectors? A plus B plus C plus D plus E, sum is equal to 0. Similarly, just like the triangular law, this sum is also equal to 0. If you add these vectors, you will get 0. So what is the alternate statement of a polygon law? If a number of vectors acting as sides of a closed polygon, if a number of vectors are presented by sides of a closed polygon taken in same order, then their resultant is 0. Okay, then the resultant is 0. So this is all about the equilibrium of vectors. Okay, but one question from equilibrium which always comes in exams. If I now give you one question, suppose three vectors, one is 2 Newton magnitude, three unequal vectors, one is 5 Newton magnitude and one is 9 Newton magnitude. Three coplanar vectors, different magnitude, can they cause equilibrium? This is the question. Can they cause equilibrium? Can they cause equilibrium? So this is the question for you. How will you do the answer? So this is the question I leave as homework for you. Okay. So now let's come to another part. Component of a vector. We'll discuss now rectangular component. Rectangular component of a vector. Before discussing component, I want to tell you what do you mean by component in the day-to-day life. You always tell that my head, my hands, they are components of my body. Why? Because when those parts join, your body is formed. They are one part of your body. They are the components of the body. Similarly, so also you'll find the components of a vector. If I tell one scalar, suppose 5, I'll tell you find the components of 5. Components means you split 5 in such a way that when you add them, again you will get 5. So components, one is suppose 2, then the other component is 3. Then another pair, tell me. Okay, you are telling 1 plus 4. Another pair, tell me. Now you are thinking more. What you will tell? Okay, you are telling 5 plus 0. And if will allow you to go to decimals, then the components will not finish. If will allow you to go to decimals 3.5 plus 1.5, then the components will not finish. You will continue up to infinite pairs of components for this 5. Okay, it's okay. So this is the component of 5. I divide 5 into different parts. These are the different pairs. Similarly, also we'll divide one vector, a vector, into two components. Suppose those two components are a1 vector and a2 vector. But not only component, we'll discuss about rectangular component. Rectangular means these two components are perpendicular to each other. Perpendicular. What other words can be used for perpendicular? Orthogonal. You can use orthogonal, another word is also, we can say this is orthogonal components. Perpendicular components, rectangular components. So we'll discuss these two components are perpendicular to each other. Remember, not only component, we'll discuss perpendicular components. Now let's discuss, this is suppose a vector. Now I divide a vector into two components. I will take first a1 vector. In which direction I will take a1 vector? To which side I will take a1 vector? I have the freedom to choose. You now come to this. When I told to write the component of 5, these two when you choose, did you think at that time? No, you have the freedom. You just choose the 2 like this, but it's less than 5. Less than 5 you take, but that 2 randomly you choose. Okay, let's take 2. So first one you choose randomly between 0 to 4. You randomly choose the first one. Okay, so just like this first vector, as you choose it randomly, you have the freedom to choose the first one. I have the freedom to choose also the first one, a1 vector. I can choose any direction. I am now choosing it in this direction. Okay, I can choose it in this direction, no problem. I can choose this a vector. Suppose I am writing here, I am showing you here. This is, if this is suppose a vector, I can also choose this one in this direction. No problem. Okay, suppose another pair I am writing, a3 plus a4. Just like with this pair, 1 and 4. I also choose another pair like this. Clear? a3, a4. I can choose. This is a3. So first vector you can choose in any direction, no problem, because you choose the first 2 randomly, no problem. Okay, as you choose 2 randomly, I also choose the a1 like this. I choose in this direction. But while choosing the second one, 3, did you choose 3 randomly? No. 3 is now, that one is now restricted. If this is 2, this has to be 3. This has to be 3. Similarly, if this is a1, so what is a2? What one is a2? a2 has to be perpendicular to a1. See, it has to be perpendicular to a1. This is a2. The question is coming to your mind, sir, why to upside, why not to downside? This also a2 can be perpendicular to a1. As I told, rectangular component, they must be perpendicular. I take rectangular component, means perpendicular component only will discuss. So this a2 also can be down, also can be perpendicular to it. But when both will be added, again we will have to obtain a vector. That one also keep in mind. When both vectors will be added, we will obtain a vector. So I cannot take to downside, because if I take to downside, when they will be added, we will not get a vector. A vector is here. By the triangular law or parallelogram law, we will get this one. So this is a2 vector. Now we choose the components. If this is a1, this is a2, this is a vector. It's clearly you can able to see the must form one parallelogram. The must form one parallelogram. This is according to parallelogram law, because a1 and a2 when added, this is the resultant. This is a diagonal starting from their common point. So this is your if a1 and this is your a2. If again minutely we will tell, this is parallelogram, but more than that, what is this? More than that, rectangle. This is nothing but one rectangle. A1 and A2 are two sides of rectangle, because the angle of this parallelogram is 90 degree. So it is a rectangle. When a vector divides into two components, they become the two sides of the rectangle which form. Hence, they are called rectangular components. Okay. Now let's go. If these are the two components, this is the a vector. The first component I choose randomly at an angle theta. I want to find out what is the magnitude of a1. What is the magnitude of a1 vector? Let's find magnitude of a1. So magnitude of a1, how I will find? This angle is theta here. Let's name it one triangle P, Q, R, S. How will get a1 vector magnitude? That is a1. How will get it? In triangle P, Q, R, cos theta C is equal to a1, this length, or I am writing PQ by PR. PQ is a1, PR is a. So imply that a1 is equal to a cos theta. Got it? A cos theta. If I tell you how to find a2, also in the same triangle now you use sin theta is equal to, this is QR by PR. So QR is equal to PR sin theta. So what is this QR? QR is A2. Okay. And PR is A sin theta. You got A2. So if a vector is given to you, remember this one, because this is used in all chapters of physics. If this is a vector, its rectangular component is a1 and a2. I draw a1 in this direction, a2 has to be in this direction. What is the magnitude of a1 and what is the magnitude of a2? a1 is equal to a cos theta, a2 is equal to a sin theta. I found this by using cos and sin, but when in the other chapters you will use this one directly, how you will find the components immediately. You will not do their cos sign like this. How will you find the components immediately? One trick you remember. This is the trick you remember. Carefully listen. To which component theta is in contact? Remember. To which component theta is in contact, you write that one as cos theta. A cos theta. To which component theta is not in contact, you write that one as sin theta. See, sin theta. I hope you remember this trick. To which component theta is in contact, you write that one as cos theta, A cos theta. To which side theta is not in contact, you write that one as A sin theta. So this is about the component, how we will divide a vector into rectangular components. If the two components we get, suppose two components are given to us, a1 and a2 are given, how we will find this a vector? These components are given. How will we find this a vector magnitude? How will we find a vector magnitude? You see, a vector here, this is a1, this is a2, they form one right angle triangle. Simple. A vector magnitude equal to a1 square plus a2 square root over. See, if you do from this also you get the same thing. a1 square plus a2 square. A vector magnitude equal to a1 square plus a2 square root over. If two components are given, how can you find the resultant? a1 square plus a2 square root over. This is the formula. And here if you want to find out the angle, okay, angle if you want to find out, then tan theta. Tan theta is equal to a2 by a1. Also if you divide here, you will get the same thing. Tan theta equals sin theta by cos theta, tan theta a2 by a1. If the two components are given, you can find the magnitude of the resultant as well as the angle. So this is the division of a vector into component. But what about this other pair A3, A4? Let's see another one. We can divide one, sometimes the question comes. A vector can be divided into how many pair of rectangular components? This is the question. A vector can be divided into how many pair of rectangular components? You choose 5 different component infinite pairs. Here, let's see how many pairs. Suppose I choose A3. This is A1, A2 over. If I choose A3 like this is suppose A3. This is another pair. Then A4 will be perpendicular to A3. And they have to form one rectangle. This is A4. A4 will be perpendicular to A3. And they must form one rectangle. See. But this is same A vector. A vector divided into two components like this, A1, A2. Same A vector also can divide into two components like A3 and A4. We can also divide it like this. Okay, you will draw the same figure here. Same figure I am drawing here, you see. The same figure. This is A3 suppose. Then this is A4. They form one rectangle. So A vector divides into two components. One pair A1, A2. Another pair A3, A4. So like this, how many lines we can draw from this within A1 and A2? A1 and A3. How many lines we can draw between A1 and A3? How many vectors we can choose here? Infinite lines. Accordingly, we will get infinite. Just corresponding to it, also will get infinite vectors. So a vector can divide into how many pair of components? Infinite pair. We can choose infinite pair of components of a vector. Infinite pairs. You got the answer because we can choose infinite vectors within this A1 and A3 between this black line and this blue line. Then accordingly also will get infinite. It will get infinite pairs. Now you come to this one. This is important also. This is 5. This is 0. When you divide 5, one component when you choose 5, then the other component becomes 0. Similarly, we can also divide a vector into one component if A, then other component will be null vector. Similar to this. Just compare. If one component is A, other component is 0. Or not? Other component is 0. If this component is 0, now see, but they have to be perpendicular. They have to be perpendicular. So the angle between A vector and this null vector is 90 degree. The angle between A vector and a null vector is 90 degree. Okay, now let's come to that point. I am showing that in figure. So this is your A vector. Okay. So perpendicular to this A vector, another vector is there. Which vector? Null vector. I will draw that one. There is nothing. Perpendicular to this A vector in this line, A vector component is a null vector. A vector component is a null vector because A and a null vector are perpendicular to each other. So what question you can be asked here? A vector has no component in which direction? This question sometimes comes in exam. Listen, a vector has no component in which direction? Answer is perpendicular to it. A vector has no component perpendicular to it. Okay, so this is the component in 2 dimensions. Then you are thinking what components are is teaching to us, whether it is applicable in our day-to-day life. Is it used in our day-to-day life? Is it used? Yes. I have told you, physics is just the law or something what happens in the nature. That is physics. So this is also used in your day-to-day life. I can explain you where it is used. You see here. You see here. So now you mark this figure. Mark though I am not good in art, but you mark this figure. So what is this? Can you mark this figure? What is this? I know you mark it. It's your leg. It's a leg. Okay, it's a leg. So when you walk on the road, you have not marked your walking on the road. You just walk, but you have not marked how you walk on the road. If you have not marked how you walk on the road, then you have not that analytical mind. So from today now you think, in everything you have to search physics. Now you think, you now imagine you're walking, or you walk on the floor. You walk on the floor, and what I am asking you now you see. You listen the video, simultaneously now you walk. You tell me, when you walk, in slow motion you think, your foot that consists of one heel part, one toe part. When you walk, first which part touch ground? Your toe or your feet? Your toe or your heel? Which part? Toe part or heel part? First, when you touch you lift your leg, when you touch it, which part first touch the ground? Okay, you got it? So you are now thinking, sir, first the toe part is touching the ground. Is it? Or first the heel part is touching the ground? First the heel part is touching the ground. When you walk, first the heel part is touching the ground. First the heel. Okay, the situation will be first the heel part. After heel, what will touch? Then toe. Okay, after heel, then the toe will touch the ground. When the toe will touch the ground, after that what will happen? The toe will touch the ground and the heel will reach. Now you imagine, walk and see. When you walk on the road, first the heel touch the ground, then toe. After that, toe is in touching condition, heel will leave the ground and your leg will come to this position. Now you mark, your leg will come to this position. Okay, when your leg comes to this position, your leg is applying one force here to the ground. And according to Newton's third law of motion, the ground is giving a reaction force just opposite to this force, reaction force. Okay, ground is giving this reaction force. This reaction force I will divide into two components for my requirement as I need it. I will divide this R vector into two components, two rectangular components. Now you see the practical situation. Which component I will, how I will divide into two components as per my requirement. I need one force to this side, one component to this side, making an angle theta. I need one component to this side. Then the other component will be most this one, perpendicular to this one. Other component will be this one. So this R vector I divide into now two components which are perpendicular to each other. Then this component will be how much value I have told you, to which side theta is in contact, that will be which one, cos or sine. Okay, you have remembered that is cos, and to which it is not in contact, that is sine. So how you walk on the road, can you able to mark? Your R cos theta component, this force, this component help to move in forward direction, and R sin theta component help to lift your foot. In this way you walk on the ground. Your R cos theta component help to move in forward direction, R sin theta component help to lift your foot, and then you take your foot and again place on another point. So walking of a man can be explained by this vector component method. Not only this, in many places this component method is working in our day-to-day life. When you will read the physics more and more in the next chapters, you will see where practically it is applied. So this is about the components of a vector in 2 dimensions. But what is the component of vector in 3 dimensions? When the question comes to 3 dimensions, it is very difficult for us to explain the students, for which I have again shown you this figure. Okay, so here this is the origin, this is x-axis, y-axis, z-axis. Suppose one vector is like this. This is one vector. I hope it is visible to all of you. So if this is one vector, okay, so this vector component will find along x-axis, along y-axis, along z-axis. So this vector, this is the vector, you see. Okay, this is the vector. So this vector make, suppose alpha angle with the x-axis, beta angle with the y-axis, and gamma angle with the z-axis. If that vector makes, but I cannot draw the figure here. It will be difficult for me to draw the figure here in 3 dimensions. Still I am trying my best. See? Okay. So suppose I will now erase this one. So this is the vector. Okay, let's keep it. So the vector I show you here like this. In 3 dimensions, what figure I show you, it is like this. This is the vector. Okay, this is the vector, not in any plane here. Here. Okay. So that vector, how I will show here in 2D. Suppose the vector is like this. In 2D I am showing it like this. That vector make alpha angle with the x-axis, beta angle with the y-axis, and gamma angle, that is difficult to show, gamma angle with the z-axis. Okay, alpha, beta, gamma. Here. See, this is the vector. Now you see which angle is alpha, which angle is beta, and which angle is gamma. Gamma angle is this side. This is gamma angle. This is alpha angle this side. Okay. This is x-axis and beta angle to this side. This side is beta angle. Clear? So these are the angles. Then how I divide this vector? This is a vector, let's write. A vector. How I divide a vector into the components in 3 dimensions, how I divide. I have told you just before, which side theta is there, you just that component will be a cos theta. Okay, so what will the x component here? Similarly, a angle is alpha with x-axis, a cos alpha. What will the y component here? Similarly, a cos beta, because beta is the angle made the a vector with y-axis. What is the z component here? A cos z. So these are the 3 components of the vector in 3 dimensions, x, ay, and az. Okay, and how will you get a vector? A vector is the vector addition. This is ax I cap, this is ay j cap, and this is az k cap. Az k cap. This is also the position vector in 3 dimensions. I have told you about the position vector, but there I have told, after some lecture I will tell you about how can you find the angle made by with x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. In 2D it's very easy to find. 2D, this is a vector. 2D it is very easy to find. So this is x-axis, this is y-axis, this is theta. Okay, we can easily find the angle made by the vector with x-axis in 2D. Tan theta is equal to u root y by x, or tan phi is equal to x by y. I have told you. But in 3 dimensions it is difficult to know. But I hope you could able to understand how we will find the angles made by the vector with x-axis. What is the angle made by the vector with x-axis? That is cos alpha. Cos alpha is equal to now ax by a. Here cos beta, angle made with y-axis, that is ay by a. And here cos, this is by mistake added z here, this is gamma, cos gamma. So cos gamma is az by a. So these are the formulas to find angle made by the vector in 3 dimensions with different axes. And if I tell you what is the magnitude of a vector, so magnitude of a vector is, magnitude of a vector I am writing, you see, magnitude of a vector equal to ax square plus ay square plus az square. I had also told you this one earlier. See, ax square plus ay square plus az square root over. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's find, you got cos alpha, cos beta, and cos gamma. Let's find cos square alpha, cos square beta and cos square gamma. Okay, let's find. So what we are getting, now you see the magic what we are getting here. So this is ax square by a square, ay square by a square, az square by a square. So what we are getting here, ax square plus ay square plus az square by a, but a is equal to, here this is a square, but a square is equal to ax square plus ay square az square. So this cancel each other. If they cancel each other, what is the answer? Answer is 1. So you got one formula here. What formula you got now? See. So cos square alpha plus cos square beta plus cos square gamma is equal to 1. So this is one important formula which will help you also to solve some questions. These cos alpha, cos beta, cos gamma are called as direction cosines. They are called as direction cosines. So the sum of, I am making a sentence to this mathematical formula. The sum of square of direction cosines is equal to 1. The sum of squares of direction cosines is equal to 1. Okay. So today we discuss the rectangular components of a vector and also what is equilibrium. Thank you.